With vulnerable narcissism, we see characteristics like being distrusting, feeling insecure, being resentful, having a lot of shame, being hypersensitive to criticism, being defensive, cold, distant, unforgiving, and having internalized anger.
Covert narcissists are chronic malcontents. They are never satisfied or content with anything. And that dissatisfaction comes out as criticism, complaining, contempt, anger, dismissiveness, frustration, all kinds of negative kinds of mood states and displays. They will complain about everything, and that makes life a miserable experience for anyone who has to spend time with them. And then when you throw on top of that their tendency to chronically view themselves as victims, it feels darker and heavier and more morose than many of the other forms of narcissism.
People who are high in narcissism tend to have a high level of conspiracist ideation and are more likely to believe in conspiracy theories. What explains this association? Why would narcissism be connected to conspiracy theories? The main reason is that people who are narcissistic tend to have paranoid delusional ideation. So paranoia is the mediator. It explains the relationship between narcissism and believing in conspiracy theories. In addition, people with grandiose narcissism have a desire to be unique. Believing in conspiracy theories helps to achieve that goal. Interestingly, vulnerable narcissism without delusional thinking is actually negatively associated with believing in conspiracy theory.
Now, another pattern that is commonly observed in covert narcissists is their passive aggressiveness. Now, while their grandiose and malignant narcissistic buddies are more likely to kind of just tell you off to your face, just tell you you're stupid to your face, or tell you that you don't know anything, the covert narcissists are more likely to do this in a sullen, backdoor way. They'll say things like, oh, must be nice to have a family that just always bails you out. Must be nice to get overpaid for your job. Must be nice that you have such a big house. You get the idea, on and on and on. And it's also quite manipulative.
This is a continuous sense that the wife is disappointed. She's disgusted by the husband's appearance, his earnings, like at his job, his contribution or lack of contribution to household chores, interactions with the children, his motivation, his educational level. So really, in many ways, if not in every way, the wife is putting the husband down. And this really fits into this narrative that the wife puts forth, that she's a victim of a bad marriage, a bad husband.
Now, there is a tremendous hypersensitivity observed in covert narcissism. In fact, this hypersensitivity to any kind of feedback, this is one of the patterns that will emerge in a relationship with a covert narcissist early on. They will often be lashing out at the world and always saying how unfair the world is.
The wife tends to take sides against the husband by default. So she assumes the worst of the husband. She has a lot of distrust for him. So an example here would be something like if there's some sort of home improvement that the couple wants to do, like remodeling a room, putting down a floor, repainting, replacing light fixtures. Now, some people are good at this, and some people aren't. But no matter what the skill level is, the wife is going to be skeptical about the quality of work that the husband can deliver. Maybe even to the point where she hires somebody after the job is done to do it right, to come back and fix everything that she thinks the husband did wrong. Now, the point of this isn't really to fix anything. It's to embarrass the husband and not give him any credit for being proficient at anything. Giving him credit would run against this narrative that he's a bad husband.
But one fine day, when you decide that you are done with watching them sitting there acting like a victim all the time, and you just say, you know what, just do something. Instead of complaining, just do something, they will typically react with absolute rage.
Is that the husband is paying for the sins of others. So what do I mean by this? Well, we see that in a lot of cases when people are narcissistic, they experience some sort of maltreatment when they were younger. So maltreatment from a prior husband, prior boyfriend, parent, other relative, whoever it was in the case of the wife who has narcissistic traits. Every problem the wife has becomes the husband's fault. He is assigned all the blame. The husband, in a sense, becomes a composite of all those wrongdoers. And with his actions, whether they are right or wrong, they represent all the bad things that happen to the wife. So he represents the wrongdoers, and his actions represent all the bad occurrences. It's like when people take their anger out on a punching bag. The punching bag never did anything to anybody, but it's still going to pay. It's still going to pay for all that anger. So
they are very vulnerable in the face of any kind of feedback, constructive criticism, anything like that. And their hypersensitivity in the face of that can look almost like paranoia. They truly believe that everyone is out to get them, and they live their lives in line with that assumption. They really walk around saying, the world is against me.
No true connection in the marriage. So the wife is emotionally distant and callous. And this is really not surprising given the characteristics of narcissism. We can see a lot in the style of communication between two people. I've worked a lot with couples where one or sometimes both of the people were narcissistic. But again, here I'm just talking about a situation where one person's narcissistic. And it's really fairly easy over time to kind of pick up how some relationships are really cold and distant, and how destructive that is to the relationship. We see that when the wife is confronted, when she's asked to talk about emotional topics, she dodges them. She avoids depth, or more likely is incapable of connecting deeply, and she gets frustrated. So she might say something like, I don't know what you want. We're talking. I don't know what you want me to say. So there's just really no room to move. There's no room to move more deeply. Making the husband feel guilty for wanting to be intimate. I see this all the time in couples where one of the members is narcissistic. So when the husband inquires about being intimate, the wife might say, not again. I can't believe you want this again, right? Really trying to lay a guilt trip on the husband for having a drive. She makes it seem like a chore or a burden. And this is beyond the simple sex drive differential that we see in a lot of relationships. This is really something that's designed to isolate the husband and contribute to a strong feeling of loneliness. It is threatening to leave, threatening to pursue like financial support in family court, to destroy the husband financially, to take the house, to take the cars, to take the kids, to take the dog, whatever it is, to take everything. Right? So it's kind of a scary threat because, of course, the prospect of divorce and dividing material assets is scary, right? It makes sense that people would be afraid of that. Now, she might also threaten to tell all his friends and family that he's a loser, tell the kids he's a loser. So a lot of dissemination about his ostensible loser status, right? So this is actually a fairly effective method of manipulation because this threat of hurting him financially and hurting his reputation is, again, very strong. It's a powerful threat, and it's used to eliminate scrutiny. It's really a distraction technique. Usually we see this threat issued when the husband has some sort of criticism of the wife. And of course that criticism is shut down right away after this manipulation tactic is deployed. Thoughtlessness. So there are many examples of thoughtlessness in these type of relationships. We see like not getting gifts on special days like Christmas or Valentine's Day or the husband's birthday, or buying gifts that show little thought. If the husband expresses any type of negative sentiment about these gifts, like if he dislikes the gifts, he gets a strong reaction. So really, he's discouraged from doing that. We also see here that in terms of being thoughtless, the wife inserts herself into every purchase that the husband makes.
Now, covert narcissists are prone to chronic argumentativeness.
Also, the wife can leave the husband out of important plans, like vacation plans or dinner plans or something like that. Oh, I didn't know you wanted to go there. You never expressed an interest in that before. So really just kind of self-centered. Now, the paradox about this lack of thoughtfulness is that the husband can see the thoughtfulness that he would want. It's the thoughtfulness that the wife directs at herself. So the husband sees it all the time. It's on display clearly in this relationship, but no part of that is for him. So in a sense, the wife looks capable. She knows how to be thoughtful, but she's choosing not to invest any effort or caring in the marital relationship.